Good morning, everyone out there in YouTube land. I am Stephen from Deleted Scenes, and I want to welcome you to episode 29 of Saturday Serial here on Bud Boy Productions. As you know, Matt is currently on location, and I will be hosting the show solo because his internet connection is currently worse than mine. But don't worry yourselves, he's just fine, and we are going to go on with the show as normal. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I guess I better shut down the sound on my phone while I'm on the air. Uh, I had to boomer it somehow. All right. A little bit of a personal channel update. My own channel, Deleted Scenes, is now up and running as of last week, and new content will be coming soon. The link is in the chat, so please feel free to subscribe to my channel as well as to this channel, Bud Boy Productions. All right. I want to thank you. Hello, Carl Whitaker. Carl Whitaker is a good friend of the show. He's always here to support us every week. We also have in the chat our very good friend and my stalker, the lovely Sherry. All right. My area's had a spot of bad weather. Uh, we had a windstorm last night, so I'm going to be busy cleaning up from that throughout the afternoon, and then it's going to dip down into the 20s tonight. Which, for those of you out there like myself who grow bonsai trees, that's not good for your trees. So I'm going to have to bring them in tonight. I'm afraid I'm going to have to start the show off on a bit of a sad note. We lost a member of the community this week with the sudden passing of John Bartolo, a frequent guest on Geeks and Gamers, and if I recall correctly, he had his own channel as well. I did not know him personally, but I respect a lot of people who knew him, and he was, by all accounts, a very decent man, and was a supporter of a number of channels. So I'm going to dedicate today's show to him. All right. As you know, this is an entertainment news show, and we have 8 stories from our pal Greg Dean Smits from Rotten Tomatoes. And we are going to discuss this week's entertainment news. Ryan Reynolds reuniting with Free Guy director for Deadpool 3. I Am Legend gets a sequel. Alien goes straight to Hulu. Florence Pugh joins Dune Part 2. And new roles for Alicia Vikander, Will Forte, and Lana Condor. All right, we're going to move on to our first story here. which is going to be Ryan Reynolds and the director of Free Guy reuniting for Deadpool 3. Ever since Walt Disney Pictures finalized the acquisition of the studio formerly. Uh, oh, I need coffee. Ever since Walt Disney Pictures finalized the acquisition of the studio formerly known as 20th Century Fox in 2019, which meant that Marvel Studios was gaining the rights to characters like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men for the MCU, it was pretty obvious that Marvel would want to keep making Deadpool movies too. Both Deadpool and its sequel, Deadpool 2, shattered various box office records upon their releases in 2016 and 18, most notably for R rated action movies. The director of Deadpool 3 was revealed as late breaking news Friday afternoon, but as it turns out, it shouldn't have been too much of a surprise. Sean Levy, who directed Ryan Reynolds in both Free Guy and The Adam Project, which debuted on Netflix yesterday, is now in negotiations with Marvel Studios to direct Ryan Reynolds for a third time in Deadpool 3. The premise of the sequel, including how exactly it will figure into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and or plans for the X-Men, are not yet known. There's also no release date for Deadpool 3 as of yet. All right, so, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting a Deadpool 3, and it may very well be in the MCU, or at least connect to it in some fashion. And we have a director who Ryan Reynolds has worked with before. Um, all right, confession time. I have not yet seen Free Guy. So that's one I definitely have to get around to here very soon. I'm happy that the Deadpool will be continuing, and from the looks of things, it will remain rated R. I saw a quote the other day from Ryan Reynolds who said that Part 3 will be even more stabby. So that's good to hear. Uh, I'm happy that for at least right now they're not going to PG-13 Deadpool. You know, I was kind of hoping we would not get a PG-13 Blade, but that remains to be seen. Says the lovely Sherry. I saw it twice. It was funny. I've heard that. I've heard a lot of good things about Free Guy, so I'm looking forward to seeing that as soon as possible. All right. So, well, Sherry, since you're in the chat, have you seen the Deadpool movies? Because I'm curious to see what you think of them. Because I know there were some people that did not like the second movie. I thought it was pretty funny. Um, that was a good viewing experience. For some reasons I'm not going to go into here on the air. No, I'm kidding. Yes, I'm a fan of the Deadpool movies. I don't know how accurate to the comics they are. Probably not too much, but all right. We're gonna. All right, yeah. And the Adam Project was just on Netflix. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard some kind of decent to good reviews for it. My a lot of people are comparing it to sort of 80s Spielberg, which certainly works for me. So has anyone in the chat seen the Adam Project yet? Let me know in the chat what you thought of it. And the lovely Sherry says, "I am a fan of the Deadpool movies. Can't wait to see the third." Yeah, I'm with you there. I definitely want to see part 3. Um, I'm curious to see who's going to be the villain. Will Josh Brolin be coming back? Are we going to be seeing Cable again? Because that was a fun partnership there. You just through the whole Josh Brolin through that whole movie was just like, okay, I just escaped to another movie. You know? Yeah. All right, we have Maria with T and Telly with us in the chat. Good morning to you. And you have not seen Deadpool yet. Well, please, or I guess maybe haven't seen Free Guy yet. Might be what you mean, or either or. We'll see them both. You know, the Deadpool movies are very good, and I've heard nothing but good things about Free Guy. I got to catch up on that one. And Adam Project, I'm hearing some pretty good things about too. So that's one I have to. That's one that I'm going to have to catch up with. Josh Brolin and James McAvoy is in the cast. Oh, cool. All right, I'd be curious to see who McAvoy is going to play. Is he going to be? I'm assuming he's going to be Professor X again. Okay. Or we could get like an Unbreakable crossover, or maybe he'll be both. That'll be fun. Yes, and hello, Maria Tiantelli. Yes, so for those of you who are joining the show, you haven't missed much. We're still on the first story. Please like, share, and subscribe. Links are in the description. That's my guess as well. That would be funny if they had McAvoy playing both Xavier and bringing his character from Split Glass back. That would be fun. In my opinion, that would be a cool little, or that they at least referenced it. Alrighty, we are going to move on to our next story. Florence Pugh and Elvis star join Dune Part 2. Yes, we have some casting news from the world of Dune. When director Denis Villeneuve set out to adapt half of Frank Herbert's classic science fiction novel Dune, the film that was released last year, he not only split the story, but also dropped some of the characters from the film entirely. The three most significant characters that were not in the first film were the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV, played by Jose Ferrer in David Lynch's 1984 Dune, his daughter, Princess Irulan, Virginia Madsen, and Harkonnen's nephew, Feyd-Rautha, famously played by pop star Sting in A Golden Mankini. I know, ladies, you preferred that. Personally, I say the less said about that, the better. No offense, Sting. We're still waiting to hear who will take on the role of the Emperor, but this week, two of those roles appear to have been filled, as negotiations have begun for both. Florence Pugh, who had a great last few years with starring roles in movies like Midsummer and Black Widow, is now in talks to take over the role of Princess Irulan Corrino. In addition to Dune itself, Princess Irulan also figures into the novel Dune Messiah, which Denis Villeneuve has said he hopes to adapt as a third movie after Dune Part 2, which is set to release October 20th of next year. As for the villainous Feyd-Rautha, it appears that he will likely be portrayed by Austin Butler, whose breakout role as Tex Watson in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and who will be seen this summer as Elvis Presley in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, which is set to be released June 24th. Okay, so casting news from the world of Dune. It looks like we found our Irulan and Fade Routha. Um, Chat. What do you think? Are they good choices for you? Who are your choices to play the Emperor? Because I was personally hoping for Mads Mikkelsen. I thought at one point he had been cast, but apparently he has not. I was kind of hoping for him to play the Emperor, and I tell you, if they have the Count Fenring character in this version of the film, I'd like to see Kyle MacLachlan play him. Um, I was a big fan of the '84 Dune. I saw it in theaters. That was my entryway into the world of Dune, and I'd like to see someone from that film show up in the new series, which I guess is going to be at least a trilogy, which I'm really happy to see that we could get more Dune films here in the future. Um, Austin Butler playing Fade Routha. We'll see. You know, you know, playing Tex Watson is one thing, but Fade Routha, that's a different kind of menace. So we'll see what he brings to it. I would have figured maybe like a. I kind of thought they would get Bill Skarsgård, but hey, this is Austin Butler. He's a good choice too. Florence Pugh as the princess. I think that's good casting. Um, I wonder if she's going to narrate this as the character did in the films. Because if you, for those of you who are familiar with the books, that Irulan narrates the story because she's something of a historian, and it's very much it's very much she's telling the story. It's through her eyes. So yeah, and of course, Irulan's relationship with Paul is an interesting one as well. So I don't want to give too much away for anybody who has not read the books, but yeah, if that first movie, man, that's just the beginning. There's a much there's much more to the story. All right, so we're going to leave the world of Dune, at least for right now. We're going to look. We're going to keep an eye out for further casting in the future. All right, our next story: Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan teaming up for I Am Legend sequel. The 1954 science fiction novel I Am Legend by author and screenwriter Richard Matheson was groundbreaking for its innovations in what we now know as post-apocalyptic fiction. Ultimately paving the way for George Romero's zombie movies, the story of a scientist surviving in a world of vampires was first adapted as The Last Man on Earth, starring Vincent Price, then again as The Omega Man, starring Charlton Heston, and most recently as the 2007 film actually called I Am Legend, starring Will Smith. The story of I Am Legend has never been continued in a sequel, but that will soon change, as Will Smith is returning to produce and star in one that will also bring in Michael B. Jordan, who of course we know from Creed and Black Panther, among others, who will also produce. It is not yet clear what the premise of the sequel will be, including whether it will be entirely a sequel or perhaps have prequel elements. The I Am Legend sequel does not yet have a director, but the screenplay will be adapted by Akiva Goldsman, who also co-wrote the 2007 film. Excuse me as I take a sip of coffee here. All right. We're getting a sequel to I Am Legend. This one I don't feel as good about. Especially Akiva Goldsman being involved, because he's tied in pretty heavily to present day Star Trek, which is a rabbit hole we are not going to fall down on today's show. I like the other three versions, and anyone who has not seen Last Man on Earth or Omega Man, please check those movies out. They're both very different, but they're both very good. I don't know how to feel about this one, or how exactly they're going to bring Will Smith back into the movie. I assume he's going to be in flashbacks, but who's to say? I like Michael B. Jordan. He's good in everything that he's in. He's become a presence behind the camera as well, producing. I understand there's a film coming up that he's directing. So, okay, chat. I Am Legend. Have you read any of the book? Have you read the book? Have you? What do you think of the? What do you think of the films? I'm curious. Let me know in the chat. All right, we're going to move on to our next story. Alien franchise to be revived as new Hulu film. Just last week, the head of 20th Century Studios, formerly 20th Century Fox, talked about the division's future plans now that it's fully part of Walt Disney Studios. In addition to 2 or 3 theatrical films a year, the new focus for 20th Century was revealed to be as a pipeline for new films for the streaming service Hulu, which is also owned by Disney. Some of the projects for theatrical release are expected to be Free Guy 2. Okay, so those of you in the chat who are fans of the Free Guy film, you're getting a sequel. Congratulations. The next Planet of the Apes, and Kenneth Branagh's next Hercule Poirot film. That's another series I have to catch up on. On the other hand, the next Predator film, called Prey, is expected to debut as an exclusive title on Hulu later this year. And we can now also add the next entry in the Alien sci-fi horror franchise. Writer and director Fede Alvarez, who directed the 2013 reboot of Evil Dead, as well as Don't Breathe and its sequel, reportedly pitched his idea for an original Alien movie not directly connected to the previous franchise. Ridley Scott, who directed the first Alien, Prometheus, and Alien Covenant, will produce this new film for Hulu. Okay. Well, I definitely have some opinions here. I wish they had gone with the Neil Blomkamp film. That looked really good. They were going to bring back original characters. Essentially, they were going to delete every movie after the second one, and it was going to be a direct sequel to the first two. That they were going to bring Sigourney Weaver and Michael Biehn back. Newt was going to be back. I assume Bishop was going to be back for it. Unfortunately, thanks to Ridley Scott, we did not get that movie. And I'm also not sure that I'm going to be a fan of the series. I can't see it being a series. It's supposed to be set on Earth in the near future, and I was always happy keeping the alien movies out in space, but I don't know. It's one of those series that, in retrospect, maybe should have stopped at two. So Fede Alvarez, he's been connected with a couple of movies that I've liked. I liked the reboot of Evil Dead. I know it wasn't for everybody. Uh, could have used more Bruce Campbell, but then again, most movies could use a little bit of Bruce Campbell. Uh, Very dark movie, but the first Evil Dead was dark. So yeah, Alien going to Hulu, and of course we're going to have the FX series. We also have a new Predator film coming up that's supposed to have a new female lead with the actress Amber Midthunder. So, okay, do I have any Alien and/or Predator fans out there in the audience? Do I have any Evil Dead fans? Do I have any Bruce Campbell fans? Do I have any fans at all? Excuse me. Take another sip here. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Heck yes to all. Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a standalone Alien film. They've already told us that. So we're not going to be seeing any of the previous characters. Sigourney's not going to be in this. If they can construct a film that takes us back to the original two films, I would be really happy with that. You know, a good dose of old time entertainment. You know, and I want horror movies to be actually scary again. Love Bruce. Who doesn't? um, and Bruce loves Bruce too. From what I understand, because I know some people who've met him. I'd certainly like to meet him. Um, I have I have a signed copy of his first autobiography, and inside it says "Shop Smart, Shop S Smart," signed Bruce Campbell. It's really cool. Uh, okay, Maria, but I don't know, and a bit doubtful it will top the original. No. Well, no. That's the cool thing about Alien, Predator, and Evil Dead is that the sequels never really topped the originals. At least not in my opinion. And and to be honest, I'm not really expecting this movie to top Alien. Alien is in a class all by itself, and that can't be touched. You can't go back to that slow burn that the original movie had. That was it's not very easy to do. Not every director can pull it off. You had Ridley Scott in his prime. we'll see. I mean, Fede Alvarez, he certainly has a voice, and I'm curious to see what he would do with an Alien movie. I do love the Bruce TV series. I didn't see the TV series for Evil Dead. I have not seen that yet. I have that in a stack of Blu-rays that I haven't gotten to yet, but I've heard a lot of good things. Um, Briscoe County Jr. was, of course, another series that he was in, and of course, his supporting role on the Burn Notice series. So, if there's anyone in the chat who has not seen Burn Notice or Briscoe County Jr., please seek those two series out because they're both a lot of fun. They're very good. And that is Stephen Recommends for today. Alrighty, we're going to move on to our next story. What exactly defines a villain in a movie like Kraven the Hunter? As Sony Pictures continues to spin out new movies based on their Spider Man related characters, like Venom and Morbius, the emphasis is mostly on characters that are commonly referred to as anti heroes. In the comics, these characters were often introduced first as villains for Spider Man before being reimagined later, and some were villainous for longer than others. One character that was long considered to be one of Spider Man's primary villains, including as one of the original Sinister Six, was Kraven the Hunter, who is getting his own movie next year from director J.C. Chandor. Aaron Taylor Johnson will star as Kraven the Hunter, double dipping in Marvel characters after portraying Quicksilver in Avengers Age of Ultron. And his co stars will include Russell Crowe, who will possibly be playing Kraven's father, Fred Heckinger, who will be playing the Chameleon, and West Side Story breakout star and possibly soon to be Oscar winner Ariana DeBose as Calypso. Like Kraven himself, both the Chameleon and Calypso are considered villains in the comics. But last week, when Alessandro Nivola was announced, he was described as the film's villain. This begs the question, if they're all villains, what does that even mean in this film? To complicate the issue more, Christopher Abbott also joined the cast as the assassin, the Foreigner, who is described as the film's main villain, despite the fact that Nivola was described the same way just a week ago. All right. Well, it seems we're about to have a movie chock full of villains, but no apparent hero. Oh. Alrighty, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 villains. Okay. We could be getting a Sinister Six movie here, folks. That's what it looks like to me. Wow. I don't know. That's an issue I have with movie villains these days. Is they try to make some sort of anti villain out of them. Nobody's allowed to be just evil anymore, and the plot of Kraven the Hunter seems to change week to week, and that really concerns me. I'm concerned if they even have a finished script. Bruce Campbell is at the Wales Comic Con for takeover on the 2nd and 3rd of April this year. Outstanding. That's good to hear. Carl, are you going to be attending that con, or if you are, let us know. That'd be pretty. Like I said in the previous story, adding Bruce Campbell to anything makes it better. So yeah, that's cool, man. Who else is going to be there? Do you know? Let us know in the chat. All right, so Craven the Hunter / Sinister Six. I don't know, man. This is the pie only needs to get cut up so small, because you're not just introducing Craven the Hunter with this movie. You're bringing in 5 or 6 more villains, and that I would be worried about this movie being too convoluted. But I mean, as you know, scripts change, actors change, release dates certainly change, especially these days. Um, the movie is set for release in January, so if there are any changes that need to be made, they have plenty of time. And of course, who's to say it won't get pushed back for one reason or another? As some of you may know, the entire DC slate got pushed back. And we're not going to get Shazam. And we're not going to get, not Shazam, I think Shazam is still going to be this year, but Aquaman 2 got pushed back to next year. And the Flashpoint film has also been pushed back probably to next year as well. So I don't know. We'll see if Sony has their act together on this one. I hope they do. Carl has more news about the con. Yes, he is attending the Comic-Con in Wales. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I'm glad that the restrictions are loosening up, and we're going. And hey, we have Comic-Cons again. That's great. I haven't been to one since pre-Coof. So yeah, the fact that we're getting back to normal, at least somewhat, that's good for everyone. All right. Well, let's move on from Craven to our next story. Alicia Vikander. Hello, hello, hello. Set to star in a historical royal thriller, Firebrand. All right, let's get the scoop. Last July, it was announced that Michelle Williams was expected to star in a 16th century psychological horror film called Firebrand, about King Henry VIII's last wife, Queen Catherine Parr. As it turns out, several months later, Michelle Williams is no longer attached. No reason has been given for her departure, and the role will instead be portrayed by Swedish actress Alicia Vikander. The genre is also being described differently, as it is now a royal thriller instead of a horror film. We also know that King Henry VIII, the source for the film's tensions, will be played by Jude Law. Firebrand will be the English-language feature film debut of Brazilian director Karim Enues. Hope I pronounced that right. All right. Uh, we got a royal thriller slash used to be horror movie. Um, all right. Alicia Vikander and Jude Law together in a film. Of course, anyone who knows their history knows that being the wife of Henry VIII was pretty much a death position. Not to put too fine a point on it. Uh, all right, Firebrand. Will Catherine Parr survive the axe, so to speak, or is she going to turn the tables? Sounds interesting. This is the first time I'm hearing of this movie, but hey, count me in. Sounds like it could be fun. All right. Concerning our previous story, I went to one last November. Cool. All right. That's really did they have anybody did they have any special guests for that con or I'm just glad that we're finally starting to, like I said, finally starting to kind of loosen up on some of the restrictions, and we can get back to some semblance of normalcy because I think we deserve it. We've all been through a lot, and personally, I for one have tried to live my life as normally as possible, and it hasn't always been easy. I'll admit, I had a couple of really low moments that I found you guys here on YouTube, and that got me through. All right, we still have a few more stories here, so we're going to move on. We have Blue Beetle news. Okay, DC Comics superhero movie Blue Beetle gains 3 supporting cast members. Originally expected to be an HBO Max exclusive, the DC Comics superhero movie Blue Beetle is now in pre production to film later this year for a release date next summer, August 18th, 2023. There have been a few different superheroes since the 1940s that went by the name Blue Beetle, but this film will focus on the modern incarnation, who is a young Latino man named Jaime Reyes, whose body becomes grafted with a magical scarab that gives him an insect like armor and other superpowers. All right, and please pronounce me pronounce. Oh, I need coffee. And I'm sorry if I butchered this young man's name. Zolo Maraduena. He plays Miguel on Cobra Kai. He is going to be starring as Jaime Reyes, the Blue Beetle. And that was announced by director Angel Manuel Soto last summer during the world premiere of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. And this week, 3 of the film's supporting characters were cast. One of them will be Harvey Guillén from What We Do in the Shadows in an unknown role. Also announced this week, or Brazilian actress Bruna Marquezine as the female lead in Jaime's love interest, and Belissa Escobedo as Jaime's younger sister, Milagros Reyes. And I'm pretty sure I mispronounced all those names just now. So again, please excuse me. Um, yes, Blue Beetle. As you know, this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, which of course doomed it to be pushed back to 2023. And As fans of the show will know, Matt and I did a most anticipated movies of 2022 show, and all of my choices got pushed back to to 2023. All of them except for the Northman, which is still set to come out next month. God, I hope it comes out next month. Uh, yeah, and those of you who are the fans of Latino Slant, Paulie has been talking up the Blue Beetle as well. I know he's certainly looking forward to this. So Blue Beetle, uh, we're rounding out the cast. It looks pretty good, and I'm definitely going to have to look into the Blue Beetle character because I'm not really familiar. I've been taking a bit of a crash course of late on the Blue Beetle. Jaime Reyes is the third incarnation of the Beetle, and but he's a popular character. So yeah, this one looks good. I'm glad that they're moving it away from HBO Max and it's going to be a theatrical release. So okay, chat. Thoughts on the casting of Blue Beetle? Are you familiar with the comics? Who is your favorite Blue Beetle? All right, we're going to move on to our next story, and it's about a movie that we've talked about before on the show. Will Forte and Lana Condor will join Looney Tunes movie Coyote versus Acme. Yeah. Uh, th- I'm already telling you, I am already in. Just the title alone, I'm in. Um, as you all know, I am a fan of the Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons, and let's face it, Acme has screwed over our boy Wile E. Coyote more than once, and it's time that he got himself some revenge. No, I'm not familiar. No, neither was I until recently. Until Paulie started talking about Blue Beetle on the show, because he's definitely been tracking all news on the Blue Beetle. So it's definitely a movie I'm looking forward to. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's a good cast too. I like Will Forte. I have to remind myself that these animated movies are for the younger audience. Well, if you're young at heart, you know, yeah, because when it comes to Looney Tunes, I watch those now. It's like I'm a kid again. I love this. I love the old school Looney Tunes cartoons. All right, well let's move on to the story. Just 3 weeks ago, we learned that the long in development Looney Tunes movie Coyote versus Acme, based on a 1990 satirical piece in The New Yorker, was finally moving forward with John Cena as the live action lead against a CGI animated Wile E. Coyote. The next two cast members to join Coyote versus Acme are Will Forte as Wile E. Coyote's human lawyer and Lana Condor in an unknown role. Warner Brothers has already scheduled Coyote vs. Acme for release on July 21st, 2023. It is not yet known if Wile E. Coyote will have a voice actor or if, as in the original Roadrunners cartoons, he will be a mute character. like I said, this is a day one I'm there for me, and yeah, I mean this is bringing a smile to my face already. Uh, will Wiley Cody have a voice actor? I got to expect maybe he will, but I mean, because Wiley Coyote did speak in some of the cartoons. Uh, mostly ones not having to do with the Roadrunner, but even then he did have a line or two here or there. So it doesn't particularly bother me if he has dialogue in this movie. So I'm totally fine with that. But yeah, you know, we've got a comedy cast. Now I know there are people who out there who are not fans of John Cena, and I understand why. But when it comes to comedy, he's actually pretty decent, I think. And the chances that he could possibly be getting his ass kicked by a CGI coyote is also something to look forward to. Uh, all right, so Coyote versus Acme, Dawn of Justice. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. We're going to move on to the final story of the day. And pop star Billy Joel to be subject of unauthorized biopic, Piano Man. Um, One of the memorable storylines on the NBC sitcom 30 Rock revolved around a planned biopic of 1960s singer Janis Joplin that ended up not having rights to her name, likeness, or her music, which led to Jane Krakowski's Jenna Maroney character instead starring in a film about Jackie Jump Jump. Okay. The basis for the joke is that sometimes film producers move forward with biopics without actually having the music rights, or any other rights for that matter, which is exactly what happened with movies like Jimmy, All Is By My Side, Jimi Hendrix, Stardust, a film about David Bowie, and England Is Mine about Morrissey. In that same spirit, actor turned producer Michael Jai White is now developing a music biopic about the early career of singer songwriter Billy Joel called Piano Man, titled after one of Joel's earliest big hits, ending with his breakout successes in 1972 and 73. Unfortunately, Billy Joel clarified this week that he is not involved with the Piano Man movie and no rights will be granted. Perhaps they can make a movie called Organ Guy about the career of Willie Joe instead. Wow. Uh, what is Disney doing this thing? Yeah, that's not good, kids. Uh, all right. So, well, I first found out a couple of days ago that there was going to be a Billy Joel film, but this is the first time I'm hearing that he's not involved in any way. I don't think this movie's going to happen, folks. Or that's or if it's going to be very good if it does. Uh, there's you're going into a legal tar pit here. You know, Billy Joel's making it very clear he wants nothing to do with this. You know, in music rights to begin with are very tricky. Uh, like, let's take for example, you have like a television show, like say for example, we'll say for example, let's take the TV show Tour of Duty, which was a late 80s, early 90s series that took place during Vietnam. Now, if you remember, when that show first aired, it was chock full of period music. But when they got to home video, all of that music was gone and replaced with score because they didn't have the rights to put that music on the video version. And it really kind of lost something in the translation. It kind of took you out a little bit. And you have a movie that's going to be about Billy Joel and his music, but yet not at the same time. Um, this does not bode well. I don't think I'd be very surprised if this movie happened, unless something really major happens to bring Billy Joel back to it. I would say this thing's DOA. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only t-shirted historian in the chat saying good morning to Matt. Okay. Uh, Matt, unfortunately, a t-shirt Matt is not with us this week. Um, Matt is Matt is with the lovely Wonder Julie, and they are traveling to good old U.S. of A. But never fear, you have me here to take over the show, and I want to take a moment out to thank T-shirted historian because he's one of the reasons why I'm here and why I came on. He always encouraged me to. He's one of those who encouraged me to, you know, to come on a channel like this to co-host a show such as this one, and he was one of those who inspired me to start my own channel. Which those of you who might have missed the beginning of the show, my own channel, Deleted Scenes, is up and running. Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen. Good morning to you too as well. Yes, no, yeah, don't worry. No worries there, man. Yeah, Matt is in an area where the internet connection is spotty at best, so unfortunately he couldn't be with us this morning. Hopefully he'll be back for next week's show, or at least very soon. In the meantime, you still have me, and I'm going to be here. We did take last week off. We decided to take the week off, and but we're back, obviously, here today, and I plan to be back next week, which, by the way, will be episode 30 of the show. So we're getting up there. We're going to have to plan something special for 100 shows because we're going to be there soon enough. We are not going anywhere. Bud Boy Productions is staying right here, and Saturday Serial will be here. Sherry saying hello to T-shirt, and T-shirt is saying hello back. All righty. Well, that's all for that's all of the stories for this week. We've got I Am Legend getting a sequel. Free Guy will be getting a sequel. Deadpool is getting a sequel. Uh, there will be a new Alien film for Hulu. Florence Pugh is joining the cast of Dune, as well as Austin Butler. Alicia Vikander will be playing the last wife of King Henry VIII. Will Forte and Lana Condor have joined the cast of Coyote versus Acme. And we're going to have a Billy Joel biopic that's not going to have Billy Joel in it. So, all right, it's an interesting week in movie news. Yes. We also have the Oscars coming up in a couple of weeks, but who cares? Apparently, the Academy doesn't, because they're not going to televise 8 of the categories. And instead of getting the 3 Spider-Men to host the show, which probably would have brought everybody, in, they got Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, and Regina Hall. Hooray. All right. Hello to Ginger Hippie Gaming. Thank you for joining us. We're about to wrap things up here, so if you missed the beginning of the show, simply rewind. Yes, please, everyone, share the link. Give us a thumbs up. Let us, and don't forget to leave something in the comments section as well. I always love reading those. All right, so I want to thank everyone who joined us in the chat. Ginger Hippie Gaming, we had T-shirted Historian, the lovely Sherry. We had Maria T with Telly, and of course we had our good friend Carl Whitaker, who's always with us every week. I want to thank everyone for coming today, and everyone in the chat, guys. You are why I do this, and you guys made the show today. I would be in the weeds without you. And we're a family here. I prefer the term fellowship. We have a good little fellowship going on here, and I was like you guys. I was just a guy in the chat, and Paulie from Latino Slant, he brought me on one week to come onto a show during a live stream, and it just kind of mushroomed from there. And now I'm co-hosting this program, and as of March 3rd, I now have my own channel, Deleted Scenes. So please go over and check out my channel. I have some new content coming up this weekend. So I'd love to hear from everybody. We have lovely Sherry saying, "Have a great weekend," and you too. I'm sure I'll see you somewhere in the chats. And thank you again, Carl Whitaker, for being here. All right. Well, I know Brandon, the anime guy, is a friend of the channel. He has his show coming up here at the top of the hour. I believe Pop Culture Minefield is going to be on as well a little later on today with their Saturday afternoon program. I am going to be on Rambling Canucks karaoke Saturday night. That'll be at about 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. If Jedi Bill is going to have an after show tonight, I'll probably show up there for a little while as well. And speaking of Jedi Bill, he is going to continue his Western Cinema Sunday, and we are going to be watching the classic Sergio Leone Western Once Upon a Time in the West with Henry Fonda and Charles Bronson and Jason Robards. So I'm really looking forward to that. Also, check me out on Twitter at Deleted Scenes One to find out what other shenanigans I'm going to be up to over the weekend. I want to thank everyone for being here. Special shout out again to Matt and Wonder Julie. Yes, the twin flames are together. Thank you for allowing me to come on and host the show. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to sign off now. And I'm going to wish everyone a good weekend.